Hi, welcome to the annual Schoolhouse. I'm Barb, and I'm going to show you, first of all, clearly perfect angles. It's a great tool to have. I just finished a class, Jagged X's, this one right here, this one. It's made with clearly perfect angles. You don't have to use clearly perfect angles. The students could have made the choice to draw the diagonal lines. It would have meant 240 diagonal lines if they made the small quilt, more if they made a bigger quilt. So the choice was theirs, and guess what? They all use this. It makes it really simple, and I'm going to show you one of these blocks when I get to my sewing machine. I'm going to show you just how easy it is. Brenda made this lovely quilt, and when I showed her my clearly perfect angles, she said, "Oh man, I drew all those diagonal lines, and I didn't need to." So she's going to buy one too, and I think you will too when you see what it does. If you were in Jagged X's, then follow along. I might have a few new tricks for you, aside from this block, other things you can do with it, but I know that you're already a convert. So clearly perfect angles comes in a package that looks like this. This is what you're looking for. Inside is the tool, and it looks like this. It's a clear sheet. Let's see if I can peel it off without too much trouble. And it's a static cling, so I don't want to touch it too much and get my oily fingerprints all over it. It's a nice static cling. It'll stay on your machine bed without any tape or anything else. If it starts to loosen over the years, you can put a little piece of painter's tape along the side and hold it. That's what I did with my old one. This is a new one, and I'm so excited. I have the new updated one. There's more information on this one than the old one. So I'm going to take it to the machine and show you how to use it. Okay, so I just wanted to point out that although this is the cover sheet for the clearly perfect angles, if you flip it over, all the directions are very clear on the back. And this new updated version, I find the directions are much better than my old one. So I'm glad that I'm purchasing the new one. And another thing you should know is everything I'm going to show you today is all on this little sheet. So if you don't catch it all and you do buy one of these, you can go back and find the written instructions. So everything is covered on the back. So I'll put that out of the way, take my cling sheet, and the first thing you're going to need to do is apply it to your machine bed. So you take it in and put it where you want it or where you think you want it. There are crosshairs here. There's a solid line going across. There are two diagonal lines coming down to a point. And right where that arrow is, it says needle position, trim feed dogs. That point right there is what your needle has to pierce. So this is the clearly perfect angles here. Right in here is where the feed dogs are going to be in your sewing machine. You have to cut that piece of static cling out of there so your feed dogs can do their job. You'll notice that there's a horizontal line going all the way across. That's where your needle is. There are two diagonal lines going up and down from the top. They meet right at the center, that point, and it's marked as your needle position right on the sheet. That point is where you want to pierce the static cling with your needle. So you align this on your needle bed and you put your needle straight through that point to secure it. Then you get it straight. This is a 5/8 inch, and I have a 5/8 inch on my needle plate, and you probably do too. So I line this up, make sure it's straight with my needle plate 5/8 inch mark, and then I know that it's going to go down straight, and then I give it a good rub to make it cling and stick. First one, my old one, I ended up cutting this way too big. And the bigger it is, the less stable it is. You want your hole to be as small as it possibly can be and still clear the feed dogs. So I'm going to lift this up, take a fine tip marker, and I'm just going to line up. I'm going to go across where my feed dogs are and down on this side. It's a crooked line, but I'll straighten it when I cut. Oh, this will be good on left-handed. Huh? Not too bad. And then across the back. And you just want to get so that it clears your feed dogs so they can do their job. All marked. So you can see this line that I've drawn. This one's very messy. I did better on my left side than my right hand. So I'm just going to poke a little hole right there, because this is the part I don't need. I'm going to go up I'm going to make an X with my scissors. I'm going to go to each corner from the center, and then I'm just going to pull each little triangle up and trim it off. So this is what I've cut out. First of all, I took a fine tip felt pen. Once it was on my machine, I just scooched my hand in and drew the line just enough to clear the feed dogs. You can see it's not perfectly straight. That's me and, you know, trying to work around the workings of the machine. But yeah, you should have a nice straight rectangle in there that will clear your feed dogs so that your feed dogs can do their job in there. And then you'll take it and put it on your sewing machine. And again, I'm just going to look for the 5/8 mark and the center mark, and I think that's it. Oh, but my thread is under there. Okay, there we are. Give it a good rub. You want it to stick as best as it can so that it doesn't move when you're doing your stitching. The first thing I want to show you is how to use it as a seam guide. So I just have this strip of fabric, and I'm going to start with a 1/4 inch seam. And all I need to do, I don't even have a 1/4 inch foot on, just a standard foot. I'm going to line the edge of my fabric up. I have 2 pieces here, right sides together. Line it up with this edge here. The outside edge is your 1/4 inch. And what I'm going to do, generally we like to look up here at the needle, or at least at your foot. With this, you're going to train your eye to look down here at your lines. I'm just going to keep my eyes down here and keep it feeding straight so that this is right. Oh, got to get it started first, sorry. So I wanted to figure out why mine was jamming up, why my fabric was jamming up in these. So I looked at my old one, which I had the hole way too big. My fabric never jammed up. This one, where I cut it nice and tight, it was jamming up. And then when I had a closer look, I realized it was getting caught in there with the feed dogs and in there with the feed dogs. So I've just trimmed it out a little bit more. Again, you don't want it too big. This was big, and it's less stable with a bigger hole. So I like the smaller hole, but I definitely don't like it jamming up. So I cut it out a little bit more, and if that happens to you, just beware that maybe you haven't quite cleared all your feed dogs, and that could be the problem. That was the problem with mine. It works now. So I just wanted to point that out to you. So this is another product, diagonal seam tape. Works pretty much the same. It doesn't have all of the uses that you can do with Clearly Perfect, but if you're just looking for something to get rid of those diagonal lines that you're drawing on every little square for your half square triangles, this will do the trick too. Comes in a roll. It's reusable. You stick it down straight in front of your needle. I'm going to grab my tweezers so I get it lined up. Be able to see, my big fingers get in the way. And again, you don't want it on your feed dogs. You want it in front of the feed dogs. And then try and get it straight down before you cut it off. This is probably not reusable. Save the rest for another time. You're going to use this, and then once it's worn off, away it goes. So the needle is going to be right there. There's a hole in front of the needle, so I've lined this up right in front of that hole. So it's coming all the way down. That's your center spot. This is your 1/4, and it's nicely marked with a 1/4 inch mark on both sides. So you're going to line your fabric up on there. And find your foot pedal, always helpful. And again, you're going to keep your fabric, I'm going to straighten that up, on this line, and your eye is following the line, not the needle. So then you get a lovely 1/4 inch seam. You can do the same with a half square triangle. You can't move it and do the no waste half square. So this, your point is under the needle, your other point is moved to the red line. You watch the red line, take care that your machine hasn't swallowed that point. Sometimes that happens, so just watch for that. And then you're good to just follow straight up, keeping this point on the red line. And you have a half square triangle. So that's another product that's useful. If this is all you want to do, this is probably an easier way to go. But this one does so much more, you may want this one instead. So I just wanted to show you a couple of things. This just came in today. It's called Magna Finger. And it's a little clothespin affair. Has a very strong magnet in here and just a plastic disc on the bottom. And what you do is you spill your pins. Voila, you've picked them up. You want to put them in your magnet dish? Just release them. This dish is tiny, so they all didn't end up in there. But wherever you want to release them, you just press it and they release. So they can pick up, they won't pick up out of this very well because this too is a magnet. But I'll show you again because it's kind of fun. You just wave around, pick them off your carpet so your dog doesn't step on them, or your baby. And then when you want to release, can you see from there? Cool, huh? What's even cooler is this was invented by a boy named Owen Cowan. He's a teenager. He invented this and got it into production, and I think that is so cool. So come and help support him. They come in 3 different colors: blue, aqua, and purple. And I brought this one. This one came in before today, but it's still very new. It's a magnet cup as well. It has 3 pieces. So your pins can go in here, and watch what happens when I dump them in. Almost all of them. I think I see 3 sticking up the wrong way. The rest of them, you know how you're grabbing your pin out of your magnet dish and you're fiddling for them and trying to get your fingers on them? This, super easy. It sits in this little disc, all together like that, very nice and stable on your table. Or you can lift it up if you have taller pins. You can secure it this way and use your big pins. You can also take this and seal it so that you can travel with it or take it to retreat and your pins are safely stored away. So I thought that was pretty neat too. So there you have it. Magnet, Magna fingers to pick up, diagonal seam tape for those quick diagonal lines, and clearly perfect angles will do even more than the diagonal seam tape. Thanks so much for watching.